The rain fell hard on the metal streets of Vorzia Prime. The sky was dark and the wind carried dust and sadness. People walked fast, covering their heads with glowing umbrellas. No one looked down. No one cared. But lying near the trash bins, in a puddle of cold water, was a young alien woman. Her name was Jayla. Her skin was a pale gray, marked with faded scars. Her long white hair was dirty and tangled. She wore nothing but a thin, ripped robe. Her eyes were tired, her lips cracked. She looked more like trash than a living being. Her people had thrown her away. Once, Jayla was part of the noble Yelen family, rich and powerful aliens known across the stars. But she had one problem. She was not beautiful enough. Her face was not smooth, her body not soft. Her voice was not sweet. Her people called her ugly, and in her world, if you were ugly, you were also useless, so they cast her out. Jayla had begged, she had cried. Her own sister had slapped her and ordered the guards to remove her. "Take this thing away," her sister had said. "She brings shame." The guards didn't just remove her, they dumped her like garbage. That was 2 days ago. Now she lay in the streets, too weak to move. Her stomach ached. Her body shook from the cold. The neon lights of shops blinked above her. People walked past holding warm food, wearing clean clothes, laughing with friends. No one stopped. A group of alien children passed by. One of them threw a piece of spoiled fruit at her. "Disgusting," the boy laughed. "Is it dead?" another asked. Jayla didn't move. Then came the guards. They walked past, laughing as they kicked water in her face. "Still alive?" "Maybe she'll freeze tonight," one said. Jayla closed her eyes. Maybe tonight, she thought, would be the end. Maybe no more hunger. No more pain. But then, footsteps. Different ones. Heavier, slower, a bit awkward. Human footsteps. His name was Eli Ward, a human mechanic who lived on the lower edge of Vorzia Prime. He worked in a small repair shop, fixing old ships and drones. He was on his way home after working late. He saw something by the trash bins. At first he thought it was a broken doll, but when he got closer, he saw the breathing, the trembling, the face that still held tears. He knelt beside her. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you all right?" Jayla didn't answer. She didn't trust this voice. Humans were rare here, and often treated as lower than aliens. Eli looked around. No one stopped. No one even looked at him. He touched her wrist. It was cold as ice. "You'll die if you stay here," he whispered. Her eyes opened just a little. She saw his face, rough beard, kind eyes, and a worn-out jacket. He looked like someone who had seen hard days. Like someone who knew pain. Jayla spoke. Her voice was dry like sand. "Why? Stop." Eli didn't answer right away. He just sighed and took off his jacket. He placed it gently over her. "Because you need help," he said simply. Jayla closed her eyes again. No one had said those words to her in years. Eli pulled out a small comm device. He called his hover cart. A few minutes later, the small machine floated beside him. He carefully lifted Jayla in his arms. She was light, too light, like someone who hadn't eaten in days. Her skin was cold, but she didn't resist. As he placed her in the hover cart, voices whispered behind him. "Why is a human touching that filth? She should be dead already. Maybe he's mad." Eli ignored them. He drove her to the outer edge of the city, where his small home stood between old repair shops and scrapyards. He carried her inside, laid her gently on the couch, and covered her with a warm blanket. She opened her eyes again. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "No," Eli said, "but I know what it's like to be treated like nothing." He brought her a warm cup of broth. "You don't have to talk now," he added. "Just rest." And for the first time in many years, Jayla felt safe. The rain still fell outside, but inside the small human shelter, something else had begun to fall. the first walls around her broken heart. Jayla opened her eyes slowly. Warmth. For a moment, she thought she had died. The smell of something cooking, the sound of a small heater buzzing and soft cloth against her skin, none of it made sense. She tried to move. Her arms felt weak. Her legs were still numb. She blinked and looked around. The walls were made of steel patched with old wires. There were tools hanging and shelves filled with scrap parts. The light was dim but not cold. It felt lived in, safe. Suddenly, a voice spoke. "You're awake." She turned her head. The human stood in the corner, pouring hot water into a cracked mug. Eli Ward. She remembered him now, the man who picked her up from the street, who had carried her when no one else even looked at her. "I found some soup cubes," Eli said. "Not much, but it'll warm you up." He walked over, handed her the cup carefully. His hands were rough, but his movements were gentle. Jayla stared at him for a moment, unsure if this was a trick or a test. On her planet, kindness was always a game before cruelty. "Drink," he said softly. She sipped. The warmth burned her dry throat, but she didn't stop. Her hands shook, but she held on. After a few minutes, she whispered, "Why help me?" Eli sat on an old metal chair across from her. "Because no one else did." "But I'm useless," she said. "My own kind threw me out. I don't even have a name anymore." Eli raised an eyebrow. "You just told me your name." Jayla blinked. She hadn't realized it slipped out. She felt her cheeks flush, though her gray skin barely showed it. "I didn't mean to." He smiled. "Jayla, it suits you." She looked away, unsure how to respond. Compliments were strange to her. Words without mockery felt heavy. Eli stood and started fixing something at his workbench. Jayla watched him carefully. He wasn't rich. His place was small, full of old tech and broken machines. But he moved with purpose, as if every wire and screw mattered. He lived with meaning. She lowered her voice. "You'll get in trouble for helping me. I'm marked." "I know," Eli said without looking up. "Saw the barcode on your wrist. Abandoned property, right?" Jayla touched her wrist, where the faint blue mark still glowed. "Yes." Eli shrugged. "Doesn't change anything." Jayla frowned. "You'll be fined. Maybe arrested." He looked at her then. "Then they'll have to come knock on my door." Jayla stared at him in silence. This man didn't know her, didn't owe her. Yet he had offered food, warmth, and safety. In her world, no one did that without asking for something. "Are you expecting something from me?" she asked. Eli's hands stopped moving. His eyes, locked with hers, serious now. "I expect you to live," he said. "That's all." Just then, a loud bang echoed outside the door. Jayla jumped, spilling some of her soup. Eli didn't panic. He calmly walked to a small camera screen and looked. "Just the local patrol," he muttered. "They do rounds every night." Jayla's heart still pounded. "If they find me—" "They won't," Eli said firmly. "I installed dampeners. They can't scan inside this place." "But why go this far?" she whispered. Eli leaned against the wall. "Because I was once like you. Left behind, called worthless. Humans don't have a great place in the galaxy either. But someone helped me once. Now it's my turn." Jayla's throat tightened. She looked down at the cup in her hands. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. No one had ever protected her just because. Outside, the patrol passed without stopping. The sound of boots faded. Inside, the silence between the two of them felt warm, not awkward. Later that night, as Eli worked on a broken hoverboard, Jayla slowly pulled the blanket tighter and lay back on the couch. She watched him work until her eyes grew heavy. Before she drifted to sleep, she whispered, "Thank you." Eli didn't answer, but he smiled to himself and kept working. He knew the world outside was cruel, but maybe, just maybe, something was beginning to change inside these small metal walls, and he wasn't alone anymore. The next morning, Jayla woke to a strange sound, not footsteps, not machines, laughter. She sat up slowly, confused. Her body still ached, but the warmth in Eli's little home made it bearable. She pulled the blanket close and peeked toward the workshop area. There was a young boy sitting on the floor trying to connect some wires. He was maybe 10 years old with wild black hair and grease on his cheek. Eli crouched next to him, smiling. "That's not a power cable, kid. You just linked it to the voice module." Eli chuckled. The boy looked up and grinned. "So it'll talk?" "Probably just scream," Eli said, laughing. Jayla blinked. She hadn't seen joy like this in a long time. It felt like a dream. Eli noticed her and waved. "Morning. You hungry?" Jayla nodded slowly. The boy stared at her, wide-eyed. "Is she the alien lady you saved?" Jayla froze. Eli stood up and answered calmly. "She's my friend. Her name is Jayla." The boy gave a shy wave. "I'm Knox. My mom's the noodle vendor 2 shops down. I come here after school." Jayla gave a tiny nod. "Nice to meet you." Eli handed her a warm protein bun. "You'll like this. It tastes better than it looks." She took a bite. It was strange, but better than anything she had eaten in weeks. Her eyes softened, but the peace didn't last long. Suddenly, a buzzing alarm rang from Eli's scanner near the door. Knox jumped. Eli's face turned serious. "Inspection squad," he muttered. "Zone patrol, level 3. Jayla dropped her food. No, she whispered. "They're searching for me." Eli went into action fast. "Get under the bench," he said. Jayla hesitated. "Trust me," he snapped, eyes sharp but not angry. She crawled under the metal workbench. There was a cloth curtain. She stayed completely still. Knox stood confused. "What's happening?" Eli whispered. "Be calm. Say nothing." A moment later, the door buzzed. Eli pressed the panel. The door slid open, revealing 2 tall aliens in black armor, glowing eyes scanning the room. "Citizen Eli Ward?" one asked coldly. "That's me," Eli answered, arms crossed. "We've had reports of illegal alien refugees hiding in this zone," the first officer said. Eli shrugged. "Lots of aliens here, that's why it's called the Scrap District." "Don't joke," said the second one, stepping inside. "We need to scan the premises." Jayla held her breath. She could hear their boots. Heavy, precise, closer. The bench she was under was not much of a hiding place. If they looked, one of the officers raised a device. Scan initiated. Just then Knox tripped over a toolbox and fell hard. "Ow, my arm!" he cried. The officers looked at the boy. Eli rushed over. "Are you okay?" "I think I twisted it." Knox groaned, acting dramatically. Jayla realized what was happening. He was buying her time. One officer sighed. "Is this your son?" Eli glanced at Knox. "Kind of. He breaks my tools every day." The officer rolled his eyes. "Just keep him out of trouble." The other one checked the scanner. "Nothing here, looks clean." Jayla felt her chest rise. She didn't dare exhale. Finally, the officers turned. "If you see any suspicious aliens, report immediately," one warned. Eli gave a casual salute. "Sure thing." The door closed. Silence. Then Jayla gasped loudly and crawled out from under the bench. Her body shook. Eli grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around her. "You okay?" She nodded, eyes wet. "You could have turned me in." "Yeah," Eli said. "But then who would eat all my protein buns?" Jayla let out a weak laugh. It felt strange in her mouth, like something she'd forgotten how to do. She looked at Knox. "You helped me too." Knox smiled. "You're not scary like they say." Jayla looked down. "But I am marked. If they find me again." Eli interrupted. "We'll worry about that later." He walked to a panel on the wall and turned a dial. "I'll upgrade the shield dampeners. No scans will get in next time." Jayla looked at the small home. It was dusty, old, and broken in many places. but it was the only place where she felt human. Maybe not in body, but in spirit. Maybe she was no longer trash. She was someone worth hiding, worth protecting. And for the first time, she whispered, "I want to stay." Jayla had never touched tools before. Back in her old life, her hands were meant for nothing, but looking delicate. Alien noblewomen didn't work. They were trained to smile, sit straight, and obey. But now, sitting on the floor of a tiny human mechanics shop, she held a wrench in one hand and a sparking wire in the other. And Eli was smiling at her. "Careful," he warned. "That's not just decoration. It bites." Jayla gave a nervous laugh and moved the wire closer to the socket. A small pop of blue light flashed, and the drone lit up with a soft hum. "I did it?" she said, surprised. "You did." Eli nodded. "Told you you're not useless." Jayla looked at her hands, black with grease and still trembling. But they had fixed something. She had built, not broken. That night, she didn't sleep on the couch. She stayed at the work table, carefully cleaning old metal pieces and organizing tools just like Eli showed her. For the first time, she didn't feel like a guest. She felt like a helper. A few days later, she fixed her first machine by herself, a small food heater bot that hadn't worked in months. Eli walked in, saw it warming noodles, and whistled. "Next thing I know, you'll open your own shop," he said. Jayla smiled, proud and shy. "Maybe I will." But not everyone was happy. The nearby vendors began whispering. They saw Jayla walking with tools, sometimes carrying spare parts, sometimes buying food. "That's the outcast," one alien muttered. "Eli's protecting her. Why?" "She'll bring trouble." One of them, a tall, green-scaled alien named Vernak, ran the scrapyard. He had always hated humans, and he hated aliens who forgot their place even more. He cornered Eli outside his shop one evening. "You're feeding trash," Vernak hissed. "That female was discarded for a reason." Eli stared at him. "She's working harder than anyone I know." Vernak bared his sharp teeth. "She's marked. The next patrol, we'll find her, and I won't stop them." Eli stepped closer. "Then you better pray I'm not around when they come." Vernak left, but his threat stayed like a shadow. The next morning, Eli was out getting supplies. Jayla decided to organize the outside bins. She hummed a little, softly, nervously, but it felt good. She wore a simple jumpsuit now, no longer the torn robe she arrived in. That's when the thugs came, 3 of them, big, loud, mean, all alien. Well, one said, "If it isn't the fixer girl, heard you think you're important now." Jayla stood straight. She didn't answer. Another one stepped closer. "You think humans can protect you forever?" Jayla looked at the tools in her belt. She thought of running, but then she remembered Eli's voice. "You're not useless." And something inside her snapped. She grabbed her wrench, stepped back toward the power cart, and hit the emergency alarm Eli had installed, just in case. It sent out a loud screeching pulse, alerting nearby sensors and making the thugs flinch. "Crazy." "Which?" one yelled. They tried to grab her, but Jayla ducked under a table, grabbed a live wire, and zapped the nearest one in the leg. He screamed and dropped. She swung her wrench at another, hitting him hard in the knee. People began to gather around. Shouts rose. Drones started recording. The thugs ran, limping and cursing. Jayla stood in the middle of the shop entrance, breathing hard, hands shaking, but her eyes clear. She wasn't scared anymore. She was fighting back. Eli returned to find a crowd outside. A small alien child ran up. "She beat up the bullies, Mr. Eli, with tools and lightning." Jayla stood inside, bruised but standing tall. Eli rushed to her. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded. "They won't come back." He looked into her eyes. There was something new there now. Fire. That night, people on the local network shared the footage. Outcast alien protects shop with human tech. Rejected female. Beats gang with pure skill. Maybe she's not useless after all. Jayla sat by the heater that evening cleaning her tools. Eli handed her a warm cup of tea. "You did good today," he said. Jayla looked at the cup, then at her hands. They were still sore, but strong. "I'm not who I was," she whispered. Eli nodded. "Good. The galaxy needs who you're becoming." And outside, the cold stars of Vorzia Prime burned bright, but inside a small shop at the edge of the city, an alien woman once called worthless was becoming something far more dangerous, capable, confident, free. The next few days were quiet, but not peaceful. Jayla could feel the eyes, watching, waiting. People didn't throw words at her anymore. Now they stayed silent when she passed. Some turned away. Some just stared. But none of them dared speak to her. The girl who fought back. The alien who wouldn't bow anymore, Eli warned her. "Silence isn't always safety," he said. "Some enemies wait. They strike when no one's looking." He was right. Late one afternoon, Jayla went to buy coolant tubes from the nearby scrapyard. Eli stayed behind, working on a damaged hover engine. Jayla insisted she could handle the errand alone. The air was heavy with smoke and machine grease. Old ships lay broken all around the scrapyard like metal corpses. As she reached the center, she found Vernock waiting. The tall, green-scaled alien stepped out from behind a pile of rusted panels. His red eyes glowed with hate. "You're bold," he sneered, "walking around like you belong." Jayla kept calm. "I came to buy parts, that's all." "You think you're someone now?" Vernock hissed. "You're still a thrown-out thing, trash with tools." He took a step closer. 2 more thugs appeared behind him. Bigger than before, armed with stun rods. Jayla didn't move. "I don't want trouble," she said. "I just want to work, to live." Vernock laughed darkly. "No one gave you that right. Not your kind, not mine." Jayla's hand moved slowly to the side of her belt, toward the compact shock emitter Eli gave her, just in case. "You attacked my friends last time," Vernock growled. "Now you'll learn your place." The thugs lunged forward. Jayla didn't hesitate. With one swift motion, she rolled aside and activated the shock emitter. A blast of blue energy shot forward, hitting the first thug in the chest. He dropped to the ground, twitching. The second thug swung his rod. Jayla ducked and jabbed him with a metal bar she picked from the pile. He roared in pain. Then Vernock charged, but Jayla was faster than he expected. She jumped back, grabbed a metal sheet, and blocked his strike. He swung again. This time she struck his leg, hard. He stumbled, snarling. "I won't be weak again," Jayla shouted. "I won't let you break me." Vernock roared and charged one last time, only to be stopped by a loud blast from a stun rifle. Everyone froze. Eli stood on a higher ledge holding a small rifle aimed at Vernock. "I told you once," he said, voice sharp. "If you ever touched her again, you'd deal with me." Vernock hissed, panting and wounded. Eli stepped down slowly, keeping the weapon ready. "You lost," he said coldly. "Get out." The 2 thugs helped Vernock to his feet. The gang limped away, defeated. Jayla stood still, her chest rising and falling, sweat on her brow, fists still clenched. Eli walked up to her. "You all right?" She nodded slowly. "I didn't run." He looked at her, this proud, scarred woman with a fire in her eyes. "No, you didn't. You stood tall." That night, Jayla sat by the workshop window watching the stars. Her knuckles were bruised. Her muscles ached. But inside her chest something glowed brighter than pain. Courage. Eli brought her a warm drink. "They won't try again," he said. "They're afraid now?" Jayla asked. "They're confused," Eli replied. "You're not the story they were told. You're rewriting it." Jayla looked out the window. "I used to believe I was ugly, that I didn't deserve anything." Eli didn't speak. He let her finish. "But when I fought today, I wasn't thinking about beauty. I was thinking about survival, about making sure no one like me ever feels that helpless again." She turned toward him. "Eli, thank you for seeing something in me before I could." He smiled softly. You're starting to see it yourself. That's what matters. The next morning, something strange happened. A small alien girl, no older than 5, came to their workshop with her father. The girl held a broken toy bot. Is it true? The father asked. You fixed that patrol drone last week? Jayla nodded. The father handed her the toy. My daughter won't stop crying over this thing, can you? Jayla smiled, gently took the toy and knelt before the child. I'll fix it, she said kindly. The girl beamed. From across the room, Eli watched, and he knew. The alien woman, once thrown out like garbage, was now a protector, a builder, and a symbol of change. Jayla never expected a ship from the High Council to land outside a junkyard, but one did. It was quiet, silver and smooth, like a blade in the air. No dust. No rust. Its presence didn't belong in this broken part of Vorzia Prime, and yet it hovered there just outside Eli's shop, as if the whole galaxy had suddenly remembered her name. Jayla stood at the doorway, frozen. Eli stepped beside her. Friends? Of yours? He asked carefully. She didn't answer. The ramp lowered. 3 alien figures stepped down, all dressed in ceremonial blue robes. Their faces were sharp and clean. The leader, a tall female with glowing teal eyes, stepped forward. Jayla of Yelen, she said, voice calm but firm. We are here to bring you home. Jayla flinched. That name, that old family name. It had once been her curse. You threw me away, she whispered. The woman didn't blink. Your survival has changed public opinion. Your recent strength has made you valuable again. Eli's eyes narrowed. So now she's valuable? The councilwoman glanced at him like he was an insect. Silence, human. Jayla stepped forward. No, he speaks. The councilwoman raised an eyebrow. Jayla continued. You left me to die. Why now? The woman hesitated. Just a beat too long. Because you've become an icon, she finally admitted. The people speak of the alien woman who rose from the trash. They say your story is hope, strength. You are no longer shame. Jayla's fists clenched. So now I'm useful again? You will be welcomed back, the woman said. Position, honor, wealth. We'll erase your record. You'll serve the council as a symbol of transformation. Eli looked at Jayla. It's everything they denied you. Jayla turned to him. It's everything I once wanted. The councilwoman stepped closer. Come with us, Jayla. Leave this human place. Jayla looked around Eli's workshop. The cracked walls, the dusty shelves, the broken droids half-fixed. The smell of oil and warmth. She saw Nox's tiny handprints on the wall, the dent in the table from when she dropped a drone, the cup Eli always left near the heater for her. This place wasn't beautiful, but it was real. She turned back to the councilwoman. You didn't come to help me. You came to use me. Again. You misunderstand, the woman replied. No, Jayla said. I understand perfectly now. She walked back into the shop and grabbed her tools. This is my place. The councilwoman's voice turned cold. You would choose this life of metal and dirt over your people? Jayla looked her in the eye. I found my people in the dirt. Eli didn't speak, but his heart swelled. The councilwoman's smile cracked. She gave a sharp nod. Then we are done here. She turned. The 3 figures walked up the ramp. The ship rose without a word and vanished into the clouds. Silence fell again. Jayla stood still, breathing deep. Eli walked to her slowly. You, okay? I am now, she said. That evening, Jayla sat outside the shop watching the sky. She didn't feel weak anymore. She didn't feel thrown away. She had made a choice. Her choice. Eli brought her a cup of tea and sat next to her. They'll probably come back again, he said. Let them, she replied. He looked at her, half smiling. You turned down power, glory, and everything they offered. I didn't need glory, she said softly. I needed someone to believe in me. She looked at him, and I found that here. Eli looked down, then chuckled. Well, I believed in you before you could hold a wrench straight. She smiled. You still drink coffee like a rusted machine? I take that as a compliment. They sat in silence, the stars above them. Jayla had once dreamed of palaces and grand halls. Now she found peace in a scrapyard, with a cup of tea, and a friend who saw her worth before anyone else did. And that was more powerful than any title. 2. Moons hung above Vorzia Prime, casting soft light over the scrapyard. Jayla stood near the workshop door, hands covered in metal dust, her long white hair tied back. A small crowd had gathered outside. Alien children, human workers, a few shopkeepers, and even 2 old vendors who once refused to sell to her. They had all come to watch her speak. It had started as a simple thing. A mother came, holding a broken oxygen unit, asking for help. Jayla fixed it in under 10 minutes, then came another, a farmer's drone, then a child's learning pad. Now they were all coming, not just for repairs, but for Jayla. People ask me how I became strong, she said, her voice steady but soft. She looked at her hands. I didn't. Not at first. I was weak, ugly, forgotten. The crowd was silent. They left me in the rain. But a human found me. He didn't ask where I came from. He didn't care that I was marked. He only asked if I was okay. She looked at Eli, standing in the back. His arms were crossed, but his eyes were full of quiet pride. I believed I was useless, but I was wrong, and maybe some of you feel the same. She stepped closer to the group. Maybe someone told you you're nothing, that you don't belong, that your voice doesn't matter. She paused. Well, they're wrong. You matter. You belong. And you're not trash. A small cheer rose. Jayla smiled. A real one. Gentle and free. After the crowd left, Eli walked up to her. You gave a speech, he teased. That's new. I felt it was time, she replied. You, gonna run for mayor of the junk district next? She laughed. Don't tempt me. Just then, a small alien girl ran up and hugged Jayla's leg. You fixed my toy bird, she beamed. Jayla knelt. And you fixed my heart, she whispered. That night, as the lights dimmed and the city quieted, a shadow moved near the edge of the scrapyard. Someone was watching. It was the same councilwoman, but this time she wasn't wearing robes. She watched Jayla laugh with Eli, share food with a few neighbors, and show a young boy how to repair a broken sensor. The woman didn't speak. She didn't approach. She simply whispered to herself, she doesn't need the palace. She became a queen here. And then she left. The next morning, Eli woke up to find something new outside the workshop door. A sign. Handmade. Jayla's Repairs and Hope Shop. Below it, someone had scrawled, she wasn't thrown away, she rose. Eli looked inside the shop. Jayla was helping Knox fix a small hover cart. He smiled. Hey, he called. You forgot to tell me we were famous now. Jayla looked up, a smudge of oil on her cheek. Only locally. He stepped closer. Still thinking about the council? Jayla wiped her hands and shook her head. I thought I needed to go back to feel whole. But it turns out I had to stay to find myself. She turned to him. You were the only one who didn't ask me to prove my worth. Eli shrugged. You did anyway. Jayla took a breath. I may never fit in their world, but here, I don't just survive. I grow. He raised an eyebrow. What now then, Lady of Tools? She smiled. We build, and they did. Together, they fixed more than broken machines. They repaired hope. One small circuit at a time. One kind word at a time. Jayla, once called ugly and useless, became a symbol. Not because she changed to please others, but because she believed in herself and one human believed in her first.